The football slammed into my chest like a freight train, knocking the wind out of me before I even saw it coming. I hit the dew-slick grass of the backyard field, gasping as Coach Harlan's shadow loomed over me, his voice a gravelly rumble that cut through the dawn fog. "You call that a catch, kid? In this game, hesitation gets you killed." But it wasn't the hit that stopped my heart. It was the way his calloused hand gripped my arm to pull me up, lingering just a second too long, his eyes holding mine with a fire that had nothing to do with the playbook. I never meant to get tangled up in Harlan's world. Hell, I barely knew the man beyond the myths my best friend Jake spun like campfire tales. Jake and I had been inseparable since freshman year at Lincoln High in the sleepy corner of Ohio. Two kids dodging the monotony of cornfields and Friday night lights. He was the golden boy, quarterback with a cannon arm and a grin that could charm the devil. I was Alex, the reliable wide receiver, the one who ran the route so clean you forgot I was there until the ball hit my hands. We were a team, Jake and me, until college scattered us like leaves in a Buckeye wind. It started with a text from Jake, out of the blue on a muggy July morning in 2023. I was back home for summer break, crashing at my folks' place in Millersburg, nursing a philosophy degree that felt about as useful as a screen door on a submarine. "Dude, emergency. Dad's losing it. Needs help training for the rec league tryouts. You're the only one I trust not to let him embarrass himself." Jake's old man, Harlan Whitaker, was a legend in these parts. A former Ohio State linebacker who'd hung up his cleats after a knee injury in the pros, back in the 90s when the Bengals still dreamed big. Now he was pushing 50, coaching Pee Wee and nursing beers at the VFW. But Jake said the fire was back. Something about proving himself after the divorce, reclaiming the gridiron glory before the rust set in for good. I laughed it off at first. Me? Training Harlan? I'd seen him once or twice at Jake's family barbecues. Towering guy with salt and pepper stubble, forearms like oak branches, and eyes that scanned the room like he was still calling plays. Intimidating as hell, but distant, wrapped in that stoic Midwestern armor. "Why not hire a real trainer?" I texted back. His reply was instant. "'Cause you're family, Alex, and Dad trusts you, says you got that quiet grit. Starts tomorrow, 6 a.m. Don't bail." So there I was at dawn the next day, lacing up my Nikes on the edge of the Whitakers' overgrown backyard field. A patchy quarter-acre behind their split-level ranch house on the outskirts of town, marked by old tractor tires and a rusted goalpost Jake's granddad had welded decades ago. The air smelled of fresh-cut hay and possibility, the kind that hangs heavy in Ohio summers. Harlan emerged from the sliding glass door like a bear rousing from hibernation, coffee mug in one hand, playbook tucked under his arm. He was in faded gray sweats and a threadbare Buckeyes tee that clung to his broad chest, the kind of casual that screamed, "I don't try, but damn if it doesn't work." "Mornin', son," he grunted, setting the mug on a cooler and sizing me up. At 22, I was lean and quick, 5 feet 11 inches of wiry muscle from years of sprints and summer leagues, but next to him, I felt like a colt beside a stallion. "Jake says you're the best he's got. Hope he's not just blowing smoke." I swallowed hard, forcing a grin. "Wouldn't dream of it, coach. What's the plan?" He clapped me on the shoulder, firm but not unkind, and nodded toward the field. "Basics first. Footwork drills, agility ladders. Build the base before we throw bombs. And call me Harlan. Save the coach for the kids." His voice had that low Ohio drawl, vowels stretched like taffy, and up close, I caught the faint scent of Irish spring soap and black coffee. It hit me then, unbidden. He was handsome in a weathered way, lines etched around his eyes from squinting into too many suns, a jaw that could cut glass if it weren't softened by time. We started slow. I set up cones in a shuttle run, barking times as he exploded through them, his breaths coming in controlled huffs. "Faster on the pivot," I yelled, and he adjusted without a word, that competitive glint sparking. By the second set, sweat beaded on his brow, soaking the collar of his shirt, and I found myself stealing glances. Not at the form exactly, but at the way his muscles coiled and released, raw power tempered by years of hard knocks. I'd always known I was gay. Came out to Jake in a fumbling dorm room confession our sophomore year. He took it like a champ. Bro, as long as you don't hit on my sister. And we'd moved on. But this was different. Harlan wasn't some faceless crush from a grinder scroll. He was Jake's dad. Forbidden territory, marked with yellow caution tape in my brain. After an hour, we broke for water. He collapsed onto a folding chair, gulping from a jug, and fixed me with a look that pinned me in place. You're good at this, Alex. Not just the drills, the way you see it. Like you get the game's soul. His words landed soft, but they stirred something in my gut, a warmth that had no business being there. I mumbled a thanks, cheeks burning, and suggested sprints. Anything to keep moving. The sessions became ritual. Every dawn, 5 days a week, rain or shine, Jake would text check-ins. How's the old man holding up? Don't let him bulldoze you. But he never joined, too buried in his finance internship in Columbus. It was just us, the field, and the quiet rhythm of exertion. Harlan opened up in fragments. Stories of his glory days, the 95 Rose Bowl where he'd sacked the Heisman hopeful. The ache of that final snap, the knee that betrayed him mid-tackle. Football's a jealous mistress, kid. Gives you everything, then takes it all. He'd say it with a wry smile, but his eyes would cloud, drifting to the horizon where the Whitaker barn silhouetted against the rising sun. One muggy Tuesday, 3 weeks in, things shifted. We were doing pass routes. Me tossing spirals while he cut patterns like it was 98 all over again. He leaped for a high one, twisting midair, and landed wrong. I heard the pop before he hit the ground, a sickening crack from his ankle. Shit! He roared, clutching it, face twisted in pain. I dropped the ball and sprinted over, heart hammering. Harlan, easy, don't move. Kneeling beside him, I unlaced his shoe gently, probing the swelling. It was bad. A sprain at least, maybe worse. He winced but waved me off. Just a tweak. Walk it off. Stubborn as hell. I helped him hobble to the porch, his arm heavy across my shoulders, body heat radiating through his damp shirt. Inside, the house was a time capsule. Faded team photos on wood-paneled walls, a well-worn recliner piled with scouting reports. I eased him onto the couch, fetched ice from the freezer. As I wrapped it around his ankle, our knees brushed, and the air thickened. He watched me work, silent, then murmured, "Thanks, Alex. For real. Jake was right, you're solid." I met his gaze, and there it was again. That pull, magnetic and terrifying. His hand rested on my forearm, thumb absently tracing a vein. You ever think about going pro? You've got the hands, the heart. It was an out, a deflection, but his touch lingered. I pulled back, busying myself with the rap, pulse thundering in my ears. Nah, coach. Philosophy major, remember? I'm more about the why than the win. He chuckled, low and warm. Why's overrated. It's the fight that counts. We sat like that a while, the clock ticking softly, until I insisted on driving him to the doc in town. Urgent care confirmed a moderate sprain, no breaks, but 2 weeks off the field. Harlan grumbled about it, but I saw the relief flicker when the nurse taped him up. On the way home, windows down, classic rock humming from the radio, he turned to me. This changes things. Can't run if I can't stand. We adapt, I said, echoing one of his mantras. Upper body work, film study. You'll be back stronger. He nodded, but his eyes held gratitude, and something deeper, unspoken. That night, as I lay in my childhood bed staring at the ceiling fan, I replayed the moment. His hand on my arm, the weight of his trust. It was innocent, I told myself. Just two guys bonding over bruises. But the lie tasted bitter, and sleep came fitful, haunted by dreams of spirals arcing through a sky that burned gold. The injury forced intimacy. Sessions moved indoors to the Whitaker basement. A musty man cave with a weight bench, pull-up bar, and a flat screen for game tape. Harlan propped his foot on a stool, spotting me as I lifted. His critiques sharp but laced with encouragement. Chest up, Alex. Own that bar. I'd spot him in return, hands steady on the plates, inhaling the mix of sweat and Old Spice that clung to him. Conversations stretched longer. His divorce from Jake's mom, a slow unraveling after years of her resenting the game that stole his presence. My own quiet struggles, the coming out that had mended some fences but left others scarred. Folks in this town, he said one evening, wiping down the bench, they talk a big game about family values, but love, that's the real contact sport. I froze mid-rep, barbell hovering. He'd said it casual, wiping a dumbbell, but the word love hung there, heavy as the iron in my hands. Did he know? Sense it in the way I fumbled catches when he grinned? I racked the weight too hard, clang echoing. Yeah, hits harder than any tackle. He paused, looking at me, not through me but at me, really seeing. It does, but it's worth the scars. That vulnerability cracked something open. The next day, ankle still tender, he suggested we review tape together. Curled on the couch with laptops, pausing clips of old NFL greats, our shoulders brushed. Commentary flowed easy. His gravelly analysis, my thoughtful counters. When a highlight reel showed a receiver stiff-arming a defender, Harlan leaned in close. See that fire? That's you, Alex. Pure instinct. His breath ghosted my ear, and I swear the room temperature spiked 10 degrees. I shifted, heart a drum solo, and mumbled agreement. By week's end, the sprain was fading, but the pull between us intensified. Jake called, oblivious. Dad says you're a miracle worker. Tryouts next month. Gonna crush it. I forced laughter, guilt gnawing. This wasn't just training anymore. It was a dance, tentative steps around an edge we both pretended wasn't there. Harlan started lingering after sessions, offering cokes on the porch, sharing stories of Jake as a kid, me nodding like I belonged. One dusk, as fireflies blinked to life, he clapped my back. Couldn't do this without you, son. The word son stung, a reminder of lines not to cross. But his hand stayed warm and steady, and I let it. Little did I know the universe had a blindside hit queued up. The unexpected wasn't the attraction, it was the avalanche that followed. Tryouts loomed like a storm front, dark clouds on the calendar, and Harlan attacked rehab with the ferocity of a man possessed. We hit the field again by mid-August, his ankle braced but game-ready, me charting progress in a notebook like some obsessive scout. Mornings blurred into a haze of ladders, routes, and that electric undercurrent humming beneath every snap. I'd toss the ball, he'd haul it down one-handed, and we'd collapse laughing into the grass, sides heaving. You're a sadist, Whitaker. I'd gasp, and he'd retort, nah, just making you earn it. His laugh was rare, a rumble that started deep and lit his face like dawn breaking. Jake blew into town for Labor Day weekend, a whirlwind of energy and takeout pizza. He crashed at the house, turning our quiet duo into a raucous trio. Beers on the deck, grilling burgers, Jake regaling us with city tales of suits and spreadsheets. Columbus is nuts, Dad. You should see the skyline, no cornfields in sight. Harlan smirked, flipping patties. Sounds like a cage. Pass the tongs, hotshot. I watched them, father and son, the easy ribbing masking years of distance. Jake had idolized Harlan once, before the divorce fractured the pedestal. Now it was tentative bridges rebuilt pat by pat. That night, bonfire crackling in a pit Harlan had dug years back. Jake pulled me aside while his dad fetched more wood. You're a godsend, man. Dad's different, lighter, hasn't bitched about the knee once. His eyes were earnest, shadowed by the flames. Thanks for stepping up. Means the world. Guilt twisted like a knife. Here was my best friend, handing me trust on a platter, while I harbored secrets that could torch it all. I clapped his shoulder, voice steady. Anytime, Jake. He's family. But family lines blurred that weekend. Saturday, we ran a mock scrimmage, me and Jake versus Harlan in one-on-one drills. The air crackled with competition, brothers in arms against the old lion. Jake's arm was sharp, but Harlan anticipated every throw, swatting passes like flies. Too predictable, son, he'd bellow, then turn to me with a wink. Show him how it's done, Alex. I'd streak downfield, feinting left, and he'd cover like glue, bodies colliding in controlled chaos. One jam, his hand grazed my hip, accidental electric, and I stuttered a step, ball sailing wide. Jake hooted. "Slippin', bro?" Harlan's eyes met mine over the chaos, a silent apology laced with heat. Sunday brought rain, sheets bucketing down, canceling the field. Harlan suggested the basement anyway, weights and what-ifs. Jake begged off for a nap, jet-lagged from the drive. Alone again, the space felt smaller, charged. We powered through sets, spotters in sync, until Harlan called time. "Arms are toast." "Film?" I nodded, and we settled on the couch, thighs inches apart, dissecting a Browns preseason game. Commentary turned personal. His regrets over missing Jake's games, my fears of fading into academia's beige halls. "You deserve more than books, Alex," he said, pausing the screen on a frozen tackle. "You've got fire. Don't let it bank." The words hung, and I turned, too close, breaths mingling. His gaze dropped to my mouth, then snapped back, jaw tightening. "Harlan," I started, voice a whisper. He stood abruptly, rubbing his neck. "Better hit the showers. Rain's lettin' up, field tomorrow." The moment shattered, but shards lingered, glinting dangerous. Monday, Jake headed back to Columbus at noon, hugging us both fierce. "Crush tryouts, Dad. Alex, you're MVP." His truck kicked gravel as he peeled out, leaving silence in its wake. Harlan and I exchanged a look. Relief, regret, resolve. "Back to work," he said, but his voice was huskier, edged. The weeks to tryouts were a pressure cooker. Harlan's form sharpened daily. My coaching honed instinctive. We pushed limits. Hill sprints till calves screamed, deep balls at twilight till arms numbed. Affection seeped in subtle, high-fives lingering, water bottles passed with brushed fingers. One evening, post-drill, he draped an arm over my shoulders as we walked off. "Casual as you please. Proud of you, kid. This grind, it's ours." The weight was anchor and spark, grounding me even as it ignited. I leaned in, just a fraction, testing. He didn't pull away. Then came the betrayal's first whisper. Tryouts were a Saturday spectacle at the high school stadium. Rec league hopefuls, mostly ex-jocks chasing youth in 40-yard dashes and 7-on-7 scrums. Harlan arrived wired, tape gleaming on his ankle, me his shadow with a clipboard. The field buzzed. Old teammates slapping backs, scouts from the bar league eyeing talent. Jake texted hype. "Go get Pops. Alex, keep him alive." Harlan dominated. First drill, agility pops. He exploded through tires like a freight train, drawing whistles. Passing sets, spirals lasered into gloves. His calls crisp over the line. I watched from the sideline, chest swelling, yelling encouragement. "That's it, Harlan. Thread the needle." Midway, a water break. He jogged over, sweat slick, grinning wolfish. "Feelin' it, Alex. All you." Before I could respond, he pulled me into a bear hug, public, primal, lifting me off my feet. Laughter erupted around us. But in that crush, his lips brushed my ear. "Couldn't without you." Whisper soft, seismic. The hug broke, but the aftershock rippled. A few guys ribbed him. "Get a room, Wit." Light, but it landed wrong in my gut. Harlan waved it off, diving back in, but I caught sidelong glances, murmurs. Ohio small town, where gossip brews faster than coffee. By final whistle, he'd nailed it, top spot, invite to the roster party next week. Elation hit like a game winner. We hooped on the bleachers, fists pumping. Driving home in his battered F-150, windows cracked to the cooling air, victory buzzed thick. "We did it," he said, one hand on the wheel, the other drumming my knee. Innocent, intimate. "You did it." I covered his hand with mine, bold in the adrenaline. He froze, then squeezed back, eyes on the road but thumb stroking my knuckle. The cab shrank, pulse sinking to the engine's rumble. At a stoplight he turned, face inches away. "Alex." Raw, wanting. The light green-lit, shattering. He accelerated, hand withdrawing, but the seed was planted. That night, alone in my room, texts lit my phone. Jake's cheers, Harlan's simple thanks for everything. I replied quick, then stared at the ceiling, turmoil churning. This was no crush, it was collision course. Tuesday's session dawned crisp, fall nipping at summer's heels. We ran routes under overcast skies, but tension simmered. Post-drill, on the porch with Gatorades, Harlan broached it. About the other day, he trailed, staring at the horizon. I braced. The hug? Forget it. He shook his head. Not the hug. The feeling, the heart stop. I've been alone a long time, Alex. After the split, the game, it hollowed me. But you fill the gaps I didn't know were there. Words I dreamed, dreaded. Harlan, you're Jake's dad. My friend. Protest week, want winning. He leaned closer, voice low. I know, and that kills me. But this us, it's real. Ain't it? His hand found mine again, deliberate. I nodded, tears pricking relief, terror. We sat, fingers laced, world narrowing to that porch. What we didn't see, eyes watching from the treeline. Millersburg's vines twist tight. Secrets don't stay buried. The roster party was Friday at the VFW hall. Neon signs flickering over peanut shells and draft taps. Ex-players in Letterman jackets swapping war stories. Harlan went as the conquering hero, me tagging as trainer. But whispers followed. Whitaker's boy toy? Snickers over beers. I brushed it off, nursing a root beer, but Harlan pulled me into the fray, arms slung casual. This here's Alex. Saved my ass out there. Pride swelled, but so did the stares. Midnight, as the crowd thinned, we slipped out back to the gravel lot, air sharp with autumn bite. Stars wheeled overhead, and Harlan backed me against his truck, hands framing my face. Tell me to stop, he murmured, forehead to mine. I didn't. Our first kiss was tentative, lips brushing, then deepening, tasting of hops and hope. Slow, searing, hands roaming shoulders, backs. Time suspended. The world was just us, unraveling. Footsteps crunched. We sprang apart, hearts slamming. A shadow in the door. Not a stranger, but Tommy Reese, Harlan's old line mate, face twisted ugly. Well shit. Didn't peg you for that, wit. He spat, phone glinting in his hand. Flash photo snapped. Jake's gonna love this. Betrayal's blade twisted deep. Tommy, bitter from his own benchwarm days, saw leverage. By dawn, the image hit Jake's inbox. Anonymous, vicious. Your dad's a fag. Keep your boy away. Jake's call came at 5:47 a.m., shattering the fragile peace-eyed Claude from that kiss. I was mid-sip of coffee, still buzzing from the night, when my phone erupted, his name flashing like a warning flare. Alex? What the fuck is this? Voice raw, edged with betrayal. The photo loaded before I could speak. Grainy but damning, Harlan and me against the truck. Locked in that moment Tommy had poisoned. My stomach plummeted. Jake, wait. It's not. But lies crumbled. Truth was an avalanche. He cut me off, words fracturing. Not what? My best friend making out with my dad? Jesus, Alex. How long? Accusation laced with hurt. The kind that slices deeper than anger. I stammered sessions, the pull, the accident of feeling, but it sounded hollow, excuses from a script I'd never rehearsed. I trusted you, he whispered. Then the line died. Harlan's truck rumbled up minutes later. Session time. But his face was thunder. He'd gotten the same forward, knuckles white on the wheel. Tommy's play. Son of a bitch. We sat in the cab, engine idling, storm brewing. Jake knows, I said, voice small. Harlan's jaw clenched, eyes distant. My mess. I'll fix it. But how? The photo was viral in our tiny town's digital underbelly. Group chats ablaze, speculation festering. We skipped drills, drove instead to the quarry's edge, Harlan's thinking spot, a gravel overlook where he'd nursed teenage heartbreaks. Lake Erie shimmered below, steel gray under scowling skies. He killed the engine, silence heavy. Should have known better, he muttered, hands gripping the dash. I'm the adult here, the one who knows lines don't blur without fallout. Regret etched deep, but beneath it, defiance. a spark refusing to gutter. I reached for him, tentative. Don't. This us. It's not a mistake. Words bold, born of the ache his absence would carve. He turned, eyes searching mine, then pulled me across the console. Kiss fierce and apologetic. You're right, but Jake, he's collateral. We broke apart, foreheads pressed, plotting damage control. Call Jake? Confront Tommy? Deny? None fit. Truth was our only play, ugly as it was. Jake arrived that afternoon, unannounced, storming the Whitaker driveway like a one-man hurricane. I was on the porch when his Jeep screeched in, dust billowing. Harlan met him halfway, hands raised. Son, listen. But Jake shoved past, eyes locking on me. You. Inside. Now. Venom dripped. The boy I'd known was gone, replaced by a stranger's fury. In the kitchen, fluorescent hum underscoring tension. He paced, phone clutched like evidence. Since when, Alex? The training? Was that your angle? Get close to him? Paranoia twisted facts. I recoiled. No. It started innocent. The sessions, the talks, we connected. Jake, I'm sorry, but it's real. He laughed, bitter bark. Real? He's twice your age. My dad? For Christ's sake. What about bro code? Loyalty? Each word a lash, flaying the friendship we'd forged in locker room confidences. Harlan burst in, voice steady anchor. Enough, Jake. This ain't on him. I pursued. Me, the fool who forgot boundaries. Jake whirled, face crumpling. Pursued? Dad, you're straight-edge Americana. Mom left because you lived for the field, not us. Now this? Some phase? The word landed like a fumble, homophobic undertow dragging. Harlan's eyes flashed. Watch it. Love ain't a phase. And Alex? He's more man than most I've known. Jake deflated, shoulders slumping, tears streaking. I just needed you both. Not losing you to this. Vulnerability cracked his armor. The kid who'd worshipped his father, only to watch the pedestal crack. We talked then, halting truces. Harlan owning his loneliness, me confessing the spark that ignited slow. Jake listened, arms crossed, but the hurt lingered, a bruise blooming. He left for Columbus that night, hugless goodbye a chasm. Need time, he muttered, avoiding eyes. Door shut, final as a locker slam. Harlan and I stood in the wreckage, hands finding each other. We'll give him space, I said, but doubt gnawed. The town? Already churning. Gossip at the diner, sidelong stares at the gas station. Tommy crowed online. Truth outs. Whitaker WTF. Harlan deleted the app, jaw set. Let him talk. We're building something real. But reality bit back. Next session, the field felt exposed, neighbors' windows like eyes. We ran drills anyway, defiant, but Harlan's fire dimmed. Form stiff. Post-run, on the porch, he cracked. What if it's too much? For you. The whispers, the weight. His hand trembled in mine. I cupped his face, thumb tracing stubble. Worth it. Every tackle. Kiss sealed it, soft, reaffirming. But sirens wailed distant, harbingers. Tuesday brought escalation. Harlan's phone rang during waits. The rec league commissioner, voice oily. Harlan loved the hustle, but optics. Photos circulating. Can't have drama on the roster. Boot, polite as poison. Harlan hung up, face ashen, playbook crumpling in his fist. All that work gone. Rage boiled, then ebbed to sorrow. I pulled him close, basement shadows cloaking us. Their loss. You're more than football. We held on, bodies sinking breath to breath, solace in skin. That night, I drove home through misting rain, wipers slashing secrets. My folks' house loomed, saltbox colonial, porch light a beacon. Dad greeted casual. Heard about the tryouts. Tough break. Subtext hummed. He'd seen the texts, the forwards. Mom's eyes held questions over dinner. Unspoken support in her squeeze of my hand. Millersburg was a fishbowl. Queerness, especially this tangled, fed the frenzy. Wednesday dawned brutal. Front page local rag. That ragtag weekly with ads for tractors and Jesus saves. Gridiron glory tarnished? Whitaker's rec league snub sparks buzz. Blurry photo. Tommy quoted, "Personal life bleeds onto the field. Can't risk it." Harlan texted rage, "Stay home. Too hot." But isolation chafed. I showed anyway, finding him on the field alone, hurling balls at the goalpost like exorcism. He spotted me, softening. Stubborn. We walked laps, talking salvage. Community league? Private games? But deeper cuts surfaced, his fear of fading, my dread of losing Jake. "He'll come around." I lied, hopeful. Harlan stopped, pulling me into the tree line, kiss urgent against bark. "You make me believe that." Hands explored. Waistbands, collarbones, passion's language, chaste but charged. We surfaced flushed, renewed. Thursday fractured us. Jake's text, noon. "Talking to Dad tonight. You stay out." Exclusion stung, but I nodded to empty air. Evening crawled. I paced my room, doom scrolling the feeds. Supportive comments from old teammates. "Harlan's a king. Haters gonna." Vitriol from fringes. Disgusting. "Keep that in the cities." By 10 p.m., silence. Then Harlan's call. Voice wrecked. "He hates me, Alex. Says I'm selfish. Destroying everything." I raced over, finding him on the couch, whiskey glass trembling. Jake had unloaded years of resentment. The divorce's ghost. Now this betrayal. Thinks I'm corrupting you. Ruining his life. Harlan's eyes, red-rimmed, shattered me. I knelt, taking the glass. "You're loving. That's not ruin." We clung, tears mingling, fort in frailty. Friday brought fragile hope. Jake agreed to coffee, neutral ground, the Millersburg Brew downtown, hipster haven with exposed brick and pour-overs. Harlan and I prepped like game day. Scripts of honesty, no defenses. Jake arrived late, hollow-eyed. "This sucks," he opened, stirring black. Harlan nodded. Understatement. I sat silent, witness. Talk flowed jagged. Jake's anger at the secrecy, Harlan's apology for sidelining him, my plea for understanding. "I love him, Jake. Not to hurt you." The L word dropped like a Hail Mary, risky, received. Jake rubbed temples. "It's weird, picturing it. But seeing you happy, Dad's smile? Maybe that's enough." Truce tentative but real, hug at end, backslapping awkward. Town pressure mounted, though. Tommy cornered Harlan at the hardware store Saturday. "Proud of your little scandal?" Fistfight nearly erupted. Harlan walked, but bruise bloomed on his pride. I iced it that night, touch gentle. "Let it go," I whispered. He captured my hand. "Can't. Not with you in the crossfire. Vow unspoken. Protect this, whatever the cost." Climax brewed slow, storm cells gathering. September waned, leaves turning crimson warnings. Harlan and I carved space. Dinners at hole-in-the-wall diners, drives to Cleveland for anonymity, hands laced over console. Love deepened, roots seeking soil amid thorns. Jake texted weekly, "Therapy helps. Miss you, bro." Healing's thread, thin but holding. But betrayal's echo lingered. Tommy, nursing grudge, escalated, leaking to the paper's editor. A sensational sidebar. From end zone to closet, Whitaker's double life. Circulation spiked. Calls flooded Harlan's shop. He fixed tractors, grease under nails. "Ferry Whitaker?" Voicemails sneered. Harlan hardened, but cracks showed. Sleepless nights. My name murmured like prayer. One October Eve, post-dinner at my place. Folks out, blessing given. We lay on the couch, movie flickering ignored. His head on my chest, heartbeat sink. "Worth the war?" he asked, vulnerable. "Every battle," I replied, kissing crown. "Peace, fleeting." Monday shattered it. Jake's call, panicked. "Dad's gone. Truck missing. Note says sorry. Can't drag you down." Heart seized. Harlan, my Harlan, fled into the night, ghost of failures past. The note was scrawled on a torn playbook page, left on the kitchen table like a fumbled snap. "Jake, Tell Alex I'm poison. Better this way. Love you both. Dad. Jake's voice cracked over the line, background clatter of his apartment. He took the truck, phone off. Where, Alex? The quarry? Lake. Panic surged, adrenaline sour. Harlan. Breaking under the town's boot. Tommy's leaks. The stairs. The whispers eroding his steel like rust on a forgotten helmet. I bolted, keys jangling, mind-racing routes. Quarry first, his sanctuary but empty, truck tracks cold in gravel. Lake Erie next, Cleveland's edge where he'd fished as a kid. But piers silent, waves lapping indifferent. Hours bled. Jake joined via video, eyes wild. This is on us, he choked. Pushing too hard. No, on the vultures, the small minds circling. But guilt gnawed. My love, the spark that lit the blaze. Dawn crept, gray and unforgiving. Harlan's phone pinged, voicemail from an old teammate. Buck. Heard he's AWOL. Spotted him at the old state park, holing up in the cabin. Go get your man. Relief flooded, sharp as pain. Jake and I converged there. Rural swath an hour south. Dense woods and sagging porches, rented under Harlan's granddad's name. The cabin hunkered mossy, smoke wisping from the chimney. We approached cautious, Jake's Jeep crunching leaves. Door creaked open to Harlan inside, unshaven, flannel rumpled, staring into a coffee mug like Oracle. He looked up, defeated. Knew you'd track me. Jake rushed first, bear hug fierce. Don't you dare pull this ghost shit. Harlan clung, tears silent. Couldn't breathe, son. The weight, it crushed. My turn. I crossed the threshold, heart exposed. You're not poison. Voice steady, hand on his shoulder. He met my eyes, anguish raw. Alex, I broke us. The town, Jake. My fault. I knelt, cupping his face. No. Hiding broke you. We're the fix. Kiss followed, brief in Jake's presence, but unapologetic. Jake averted eyes, but nodded. She's right, he's right. Whatever. Just come home. Homecoming was halting. Harlan returned, but shadows clung. Shop calls diverted to voicemail, field fallow. We three met nights, therapy via Zoom, Jake's counselor mediating. Sessions peeled layers. Harlan's internalized shame, buried since a high school coach's slur. Jake's fear of abandonment, divorce's scar. My own imposter syndrome, the outsider loving into a family. Progress incremental, shared meals, tentative laughs. Town simmered, but cracks formed. Buck rallied old guard. Petition to the league. Harlan's heart headlines. A dozen signatures, then 50. Tommy slunk, confronted by peers. Your jealousy ain't football, Reese. Paper retracted. Apology buried on page 6. Whispers faded to shrugs. Millersburg's memory short as harvest cycles. November brought thaw. First snow dusted the field. We reclaimed it. Not drills but touch football, Jake quarterbacking, Harlan and me receivers. Spirals soared. Catches clean. Laughter echoing. One play, Harlan stiff-armed me gentle, then pulled into a tackle hug. Got you. Whispered. For us. Jake rolled eyes. Gross. Win the down. Love with Harlan bloomed private. Walks in the woods, bundled against chill, hands swinging laced. Stories swapped, his pro dreams deferred, my bookish rebellions. You ground me, he'd say, nuzzling neck. Sky's the limit now. Intimacy tender. Slow dances in the kitchen to AM radio. Bodies swaying, hearts aligning. No rush, just presence, humanity in the hold. Climax crested Thanksgiving. Family dinner at the Whitakers, Jake's invite, bridge extended. My folks came potluck style. Mom's green beans, dad's stories. Table groaned with turkey, tension thick as gravy. Toast circled, Jake's to second chances. Harlan's gaze found mine across the cloth. To loves that tackle fear. Mine. To teams that endure. Laughter followed, real releasing. Post-feast, porch cigars for the men, Harlan, Jake, Dad, me. Smoke curled philosophical. Life's a series of downs, Harlan mused. But with the right line you push through. Jake clinked bottles. Even if it's unconventional. Acceptance earned. Winter deepened romance. Christmas Eve. Harlan's gift. A custom jersey. My name arched over his number. Stitched with together. I teared up, pulling him under mistletoe scavenged from the yard. Forever play? He grinned. Every snap. But humanism tempers joy. Jake dated. A girl from work, sweet but surface. Still weird. He confessed one beer night. You too. But happy for it. Growth's gift. Harlan volunteered at the rec center, coaching kids without the spotlight. Passing torch, not chasing ghosts. It's enough, he'd say, watching Tykes fumble balls. Spring 2024 bloomed tentative. Field greened. We ran again, not for glory, but joy. One April dawn, Harlan proposed, not ring but promise. On one knee in the end zone, football cradled. Alex, you're my MVP. Marry me? Make this official. Laughter bubbled, yes. Fierce. Jake best man, of course. Wedding small, June backyard, under the goalpost. Jake officiated, voice steady. Vows echoed. Harlan's I promise to catch every pass. Your heart's, always. Mine. I'll run the route, no matter the defense. Rings exchanged. Simple bands engraved with coordinates, the quarries our origin. Honeymoon, cabin revisit, now sanctuary. Night starlit, days hiking, love's language fluent. Years folded, 2025 now, Harlan's shop thriving. My adjunct gig at the community college. Philosophy with heart. Jake visits, girlfriend in tow, family expanding. Town? Millersburg evolved, pride flags at the fair, stories retold as triumph. The unexpected? Not the fall, but the rise. Love, that blindside, teaches, betrayal bends but doesn't break. In America's heartland, where fields stretch endless, we found our line. Human, flawed, unbreakable. Yet echoes linger. Tommy passed last winter, heart attack sudden. Harlan attended, quiet grace. Forgive them, he said after. They know not. Humanist to the core. And me? Still catching spirals, but now life's. With Harlan beside, every dawn's a win. Looking back, that summer of sweat and secrets feels like a faded Polaroid. Edges soft, colors vivid in memory. It's December 2025 now. Snow blanketing Millersburg in hush, holiday lights twinkling defiant against the cold. Harlan and I sit on the porch swing he built last spring. Mugs steaming mulled wine, watching flakes dance like errant confetti. Jake's inside with his fiancée, Sarah. Wedding bells for them come summer. Laughing over pie with our folks. The Whitaker house, once a shell of solitude. Pulses full. Photos on walls of us all, jerseys framed. A life stitched from loose threads. Harlan's hand finds mine. Thumb tracing the band. 3 years married. Shine undimmed. Remember the first drill? He murmurs, breath fogging. I chuckle, leaning into his shoulder. You nearly killed me. His rumble joins. Best mistake I made. Quiet settles, comfortable as old cleats. We've weathered more since. Harlan's knee acting up, forcing retirement from casual games. My book deal on small-town resilience, queer lens sharp. Challenges but shared they forge. The betrayal's scar? Faint now, a lesson etched. Tommy's shadow taught vigilance. Harlan mentors at the youth center, emphasizing respect over rivalry. Games about lifting others. He tells the kids. Eyes on me across the field. Jake's evolved too. Ally vocal, marching in Columbus pride. Texting memes that bridge the weird. You owe me therapy bills, he jokes, but hugs linger longer. Humanity's core shines in the small. Harlan's ritual of leaving notes in my lunch. Doodles of footballs with hearts. My playlists for his shop shifts. Classic rock laced with love songs. We've traveled Chicago Cubs games, California coast. But home pulls strongest, this patch of Ohio earth where roots run deep. One evening last fall, post-harvest fair, we walked the midway, cotton candy sticky, Ferris wheel glowing. Harlan won a stuffed buckeye at rings, handed it solemn. For our first. Laughter bubbled. Later, under stars, we talked futures. Adoption whispers, maybe a kid to coach. Build a legacy, he said. One that sticks. Betrayal's ghost visits rare. Anniversary of the photo, perhaps, when doubt nips. Then we revisit the quarry, hands laced, lake mirroring calm. We won, I affirm. He pulls me close. Damn right. Now swing creaking, he stirs. Cold out. Inside. I nod, but linger, kissing slow. Taste of spice and forever. Jake calls from the door. PDA patrol. Save it for the end zone. We laugh, joining the warmth. Life's no fairy tale. Bills bite, knees ache, small minds mutter. But in this American tapestry, woven rough and true, we've carved space. Dramatic falls, suspenseful rises, emotions raw and romantic. That's our story. Human to the bone, flawed, fierce, loved. And the unexpected keeps coming. Tomorrow, first ultrasound, Saget's gift, our family blooming. Harlan's grin, boyish. Think they'll catch? I squeeze his hand. Like pros. Fade to snow, soft and sure. Game on.